A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out Buffet too.
All about faith, this is Parker, yeah. Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Thando kuphela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
And welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is Mokwena. I am your host. The show is on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. and also on Fridays at 12:30, where it's not just me. I'll be joined by the breadwinners of the show, the paid members, the guys who are smarter than me. They get to run the show on a Friday at 12:30. If you want to watch any of the previous episodes, they are available in full, guys. This, of course, is a football show focused primarily on local football, where we speak about deep things around football and around this game that we love so much. Guys, like I said, Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. And then also, if you want to be part of my members, the breadwinners, head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and you'll be able to jump in to our WhatsApp group, which is a very incredible place. We teach each other things every single day. Also, if you want to watch any of the previous episodes back, they are available in full on YouTube, where you'll be able to hear us debate and banter and speak about this game, that we enjoy so much. But guys, thank you so much for the support that you've shown me up to this point. But let's get into the show. Oh, one more thing. If you ever want to join the show, and you're listening to the show and you wonder where these extra voices come from, these extra voices that speak on this show specifically, you have to join me while I'm live on TikTok. Follow me while I'm live on TikTok. Then there'll come a time where I'll say I'm opening up the lines. Then I'll open it up. You'll be allowed to request, jump in, call in, and have your say live on the show, because the nightly show is about your opinions more than anything else. Kuma, first to join. Okay, guys, today there is a discussion that I want to have. The discussion I want to have today is speaking about our players' relationship with overseas. And I want to have this conversation from both sides of the coin. So the way we're going to start off with the first topic is going to be comments made by Roger Tissa, where Roger Tissa came out and said, guys, if a team is going to pay you as much as a lot of the teams in the PSLs, you're in a mid-level team that side in England, rather stay in the PSL. He says that's what most players are thinking, that why go overseas if the money is not going to be any better and I lose the comfortability here. But he did also speak about our players lacking the discipline in order for them to go overseas and go and do better, because there's a lot of challenges that come with going overseas. So where I want to start off with it is from that point of view. Is it still a thing? Is it still worthwhile for our players to go overseas, or should they just stay in the PSL, live comfortable lives, families are close by, they're loved, they don't have to deal with any cultural differences, they don't have to deal with any of that stuff, they just stay here, in the PSL, you can get paid. And I'm piggybacking off of another comment made by Jordaan Milford, who said that, in Nigeria, when we leave to go overseas, we have to go overseas, number one, because our league is not that good. And then secondly, when we get there, we have to fight. There's no plan B. There's no soft landing. There's nowhere else I can go to go play football and get money. And he thinks that South African players don't understand how good they have it, that the PSL is at a level where you can get a very nice living. And on the secondary part of it, later on, tonight, we're going to speak about this man up here, Keses Mailula, and the other side of the coin. Now I'm overseas. Now I'm not getting the chances. Now I'm not getting any game time and all of those things. Is it better for me to just come home? Would have been better for him to stay at home. But I also want to add the part about agents and management. That are they looking out for these players? Are they doing the correct research? Are the decisions being made decisions that are going to benefit the players long term? Yes, umuntu yazi now kumnandi this year, but did the move you make set you up for the next 10 years? So these are the two things that I want to speak about tonight. I'm going to open up the lines. Guys, please remember to like, tap the screen, like the show. Let's try to get to 20,000 likes today. It is free, guys. Just tap the screen and you'll be fine. Remember, guys, request anybody can jump in. It's not meant for certain people. As long as you are following me on TikTok, jump in. We'll see if we can make time and have this conversation with more people that maybe I'm not used to speaking as well, guys. Not just the regulars. Okay, let me see. Okay, just making sure that everybody is on. Kumo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I'm always awesome, man. Yourself?
Man, Kumo. Nakim Nati Kumo. So, Kumo, there was some words said by former Pirates coach, current Qatari coach. Hey, he's got a long history. Roger Desai saying that, you know, some players just look at it as I'm comfortable. I earn a good living here in South Africa. Why do I need to go overseas and go chase these dreams and go put myself in uncomfortable positions? What do you think about these words that Roger Desai said? He also said that discipline is something that's lacking from our players.
Discipline how? Like when a player goes to Russia, coming from a tropical climate to go freeze in Russia, and when he can't climatize, so he's ill-disciplined.
Well, I guess he's saying
Players
in
are the
terms of
same
sticking it
everywhere.
out.
Sticking it out though. Mara in Anise, my bra. I wanna issue gonna stick it like you said. Like Nigeria have no plan B. I want Mara whole level lorry. Okay, fine. The money is not that much of a difference. And okay, the money might be a lot. The lifestyle and the cost of living is actually more. So it balances out. I would rather go to South Africa and go to Cape Town City where I see the view of the Atlantic seaboard. Why would I stay in Russia? I don't blame them. The thing is that, guys, we like to glorify adversity, hardship, why? If things are there and our leaders made it simpler and made it easier for us to thrive, and people shouldn't blame us for wanting to stay home and get high paid if you're lucky is to play for a Sundowns, supersport, and get paid a lot of money, be close to people that you love and to your friends and family. So there's nothing wrong with that. So I know who people like to see Europe as the Mecca. But if we're being honest, we do have talent, and there are so many factors that make it seem like Europe is number one. Okay, fine. Now the continent with the most African, with the most World Cup titles. But then again, that can also be because they've got better structures in terms of like facilities, and also they've got more places, more FIFA. So according to stats, they stand to win the entire thing. But anyway, I digress. There's nothing wrong with our PSL. In fact, it says a lot about our PSL. It means that it's sustainable. It makes sense to have it. People can make a living from the PSL, and that is great. Like, not a lot of countries, let alone in Africa, I'm talking about even Europe, a certain player from Nazurena, I learned a new word today, Nazurena. It explains why you had that zebra thingy, but okay, sharp. A certain player from Nazurena who plays his football from Romania, apparently the highest paid player in the league, all 5,000 US dollars. That's like 100K. Or what I can say, high. And not saying that he earns 100K. Top player, and he's not the top player there, despite of the media. So sometimes you just like to have stamps on your passport and say I play in Europe. Mara, what's one? PSL Monati. I'm like, look at Pesitao's case. Nagala Brighton, right? He left a team in Club Brugge that used to play Champions League. If he was staying in Belgium, it makes sense. Champions League sharp. Now he played for Brighton. Brighton is a mediocre team. Let's be honest. Even now, they're trying to, they're playing good football, but they will never play Champions League. I doubt that one. And he wasn't really getting game time. So when Pesita went to Ahly, people were like, how could you go back to Africa, to Egypt? But talking about the team of the century. You're talking about a Champions League #1 team ranked in Africa. The team that plays in the FIFA Club World Cup. And you're saying it's a downgrade. That's the thing, guys. And he gets paid in dollars. See? Like, he's one of the best paid. Even his his salary can rival those in England as well. So guys, Oscar Nyata, Mr. Irvin, Mr. Irvin Khoza did well for the PSL, eh? He did well for us, guys. We should actually embrace it and support by showing our appreciation by going to the stadiums, man. Local is like that, guys.
Get Irvin. How? Irving. Get Irvin.
It's Irvin.
Let me go to Osamora. How are you, my brother? Long time, man. No again.
I'm good, OG. Wena?
Man, get right. Tell me, Osi, look, Roger Tissa made some statements saying that, our players would much rather stay here and play locally and not necessarily go that side anymore. If you can make that money in the PSL, a lot of them are just like, why go overseas? What do you think about these comments made by Roger Tissa?
OG, it goes down to what exactly a player wants or need in his life or career. You understand? Because there are those who are like they are locally and then things are flourishing for them. You understand? And then there are those who are like at least they were happy ladies who fit overseas and then like it worked for them overseas and then it all depends like more life or in at the end of the day. Because staying at home and not making as much as like you wish or hope for in life, I mean, it doesn't work out for you. Because like at the end of the day, if let's say it's like the player no mang too much. Those are some of the stress like abakhono who didn't personally. You understand? Like barking o shwela teng. So more like la Roger Disa when it comes to tabata discipline. Nankanor ke tlhalwanya in this way, ne? Longevity a player leaving South Africa for Europe. You understand? Like a player would leave South Africa and go to Europe and only to come back within maybe a period of 10 years. As I say, and then for those ballers like they sustain like and then they are not playing their football at the highest level compared to other African players headed to overseas. You understand? And then like League Arena, it's where all the things they look like other African countries they are wishing for. But we are not producing as much talent as like we should be. Bona no talent like Kayas Mailula, although like Oblets or no, is a tropical or global like on a later, but level less than a footballer solo nasi producer Mumzanzi, and then O level lemolo like Kajan Ukote. You understand? So at the end of the day, later the agent plays like a vital role in deciding what it's a do for a player or it's a end of your career at the end of the day. You understand? So this thing Roger Disa abulela ka taba tsa discipline. I understand him. Because like in Nuso are not any kind of a player like a super overseas or no. This is our bright future. Maybe for the country, even for Bafana. We don't have that kind of a talent at the moment. And then we have the likes of Pesita, but they are within African borders. You understand? So when it comes to Tabata discipline, now currently I'm looking at a player, Leil Foster, Go Bentley. Those are kind of a player, but like a discipline, it counts. Bona know he's in England, one of the top leagues in the world. But the discipline Roger Disa Abulelangayona, the guy is now teaching Bafana. Bafana is no longer that much of an important assignment for project for him. Those are kind of the discipline the guy like maybe Kinahanaro Obulela in a way.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. Because I wanna quiz you guys on that. How's that? Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good on yourself, and evening to everyone on the panel and those watching.
No, how's that? Nah, I am always good. What is your take on this conversation we're having? Do our players, is it better for our players to stay home and live a comfortable life in the PSL? Do you believe that that's maybe what's stopping them from going overseas?
I would firstly like to preface it by saying that there's a famous saying or scripture in the Christian Bible that says, "Many are called, few are chosen." What Roger the Sa is saying about discipline, he's speaking about those who are chosen. You know, that's how I see it. If you get the opportunity to play at the highest level of football, perform. You know, you look at let's look at Nigeria, because guys like Osimhen and all those guys are the ones who come to my mind. There are a bunch of Nigerians who are still playing in their local leagues, but when you look at the likes of Osimhen and the rest, you know, from your early 2090s to now, you know, when they go to Europe or when they leave their country, they perform. You know, almost in every league, you could come up with one Nigerian who has done something who's represented Nigeria, you know, at that highest level. You know, when people talk about it, like, yeah, no, I remember that Nigerian guy, you know.
Yeah.
The discipline in South African context, you know, what the other speakers are saying is very true as well, that we do not have representation, you know. We are not saying that all of them must go to Europe. We are just saying that if you are there, represent us well, you know. They are right. Is it Kumo? Yeah, he mentioned that if you are getting 100,000 every month, it's comfortable to live in South Africa with that kind of salary. You're close to your family, you have everything you need, plus the money is good, you know. There are those who will never set foot outside of South Africa, but then they have to also show up while they're still playing in South Africa. It's also infuriating that I was watching your video when you were talking about this situation on YouTube, where you said you can become a top goal scorer with 6 goals in South Africa. If we are being honest together, Mr. Oti, how is that impressive? How is that impressive with 6 goals? You know, so there is a lack of dedication, in a sense, from our players, that you guys don't show up for anything. And as a coach who says such things, he's next to them, he sees it, and he has to live with it, you know. There's no punishment or what do I say? It's always, they're all rewarded for their lackluster performance. I think I'm echoing.
No, it's fine. I've got you. It just jumped there a little bit. Try again, Karen.
Oh, okay. So what I'll just close it off by saying that Roger Desa is not saying that we don't have quality or anything. All he's saying is that guys show up. You know, the reason why some people, I understand we are football fans, and we've said this before. You and I will watch the sport and will continue to support it because of it's what we love. But for neutrals, you know, why would I come and watch a game of Chippa United where guys have the opportunity to score 10 goals, but then the game ends not, when I can go watch Osimhen beat a bunch of Italians, score 5 goals in one game? You know, when you're a coach and you aspire to have players or play the kind of football that is played in Europe, and they're not giving it to you, you know, you end up seeing such things. Yeah.
Okay, guys, please remember, tap the screen. Let's try to get to 20,000 likes. Thank you to Malibongwe for the gift. Guys, before I bring in Prince, I just want to say, I'm not saying that it's easy. I don't want this to be a conversation about whether it's easy or hard. It's more about the act of it. So I don't want to devalue what players do and say what they do is very easy, or your family and all those things is easy. It's more about the attitude behind it. Prince, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay, my brother. I'm okay. Tell me, Prince, what is your take on the words that were said by Roger Tisa? Are our players much more comfortable here at home, and that's why they don't want to go overseas?
Yeah, but I just want to start it off with these words.
You know, I remember there was a player by the name of May Mahlangu that just ballooned from South Africa to overseas, and the player was unknown to us. Then suddenly was taken wafakwa Bafana without us knowing what type of a player he is.
Yeah.
And I still believe the player was not as good as he was mentioned. Okay, passing that one, Roger Disa. He's actually right. Players are lacking discipline. How do we know that? Players like Zungu, they went overseas and then they did what they did and they came back. You can see the way of style that he's playing right now, that he lacked discipline after he was punished overseas. He came back to the country, and after he came back to the country, now he wants to play for Bafana, but he's not actually the player that we need for Bafana. I believe that is the discipline that Roger is talking about. When you lose discipline there, and then you lose your touch in football, now you want us to accept you as a player. So basically, I'm sorry I'm new here, and that is all I have to say for today.
No problem. No, stay on. I'm gonna come back. No problem. Welcome to the family. As we know, this is family. I've got Malume Kutso here. Malume Kutso, how are you? Malume Washo.
Spethizinja fanda spetha bo Prince. Welcome Prince mafethu. Izinja mafethu. Yo, kusekhaya Prince, we at home. Suba nervous. We are here for you.
Malume Kutso.
Umnandi Mr. Uti.
Ay, Kimnati, man, Kimnati. Tell me, Malume Kutso, where do you fall about these words spoken by Roger Tisa?
Before I proceed, Yazi, you will feel like I'm not giving them attention, be jealous of Prince. Good evening to everyone in the panel, Buffett. You know, be jealous.
It's like you know me, Wangiti.
Mr. Uti, it's a very difficult conversation, especially for me as a supporter that has lived his entire life in SA, to be honest with you. All right. However, I just took a quick scan just to see which this is Kulmai, are they accurate or not? And I found that lowest paid player at at Brighton and something like £150 annually. So if you multiply that, it will be somewhere called 6 million. Or rather, if you convert that, it will be called 6 million, and that is roughly 500k monthly. Right, and that is not like the most paying team, top paying team in England. I think to earn that amount of money in SA, you would have to be playing for the best team, or rather one of the highest paying teams. And then I checked our very own Lyle Foster, and Lyle Foster, Mr. OT, earned something like 1.3 million pounds a year. Well, according to the source, of course. And when you convert that, it takes to something like 1 million per year. And when you try and break it down to monthly salary, it goes down to something like 2.5 million a month. You understand? So to suggest that we are anywhere close to that is very reckless, Mr. Oti. And Lyle Foster is not even one of the biggest players in that country, in England. They are big hitters there. You must understand, if Lyle Foster is earning that much, I just wonder how much Salah and them are earning. And you see it by the philanthropy energy that these African guys have. Your Sadio Manes, your Etos, they build hospitals, Mr. Oti, from the start, from those salaries. So you have to understand, Oti, their money is so much that they don't go to Conca to bless girls. No. They actually build hospitals and bless the whole community, Mr. Oti, with like a school, and they eventually run for. They have so much money that they can even run for presidents and become presidents and campaign. And if you know campaigning, people get arrested, people go to court, but declare who's your funder. And these guys actually do have that amount of money to fund themselves. So, England, and France, because let's be honest, when we're talking, I see a comment by Ulona Ukuma, but when we're talking Kanaging, when we're talking Europe, we're talking top 5 leagues, guys. We're really not talking about the lowest league. Just like how right now we're talking African football, we're talking SA. We're not talking about respectfully Somalia. You know what I mean? So what are we saying? Players must not aspire to play in the top leagues. SA only has 2 players, top of my mind, in the best leagues. We only have a player, Go Kanaking. Yeah, I've turned down the volume. It's fine. We only have 2 players in the fashion of Ulebu Mtiba as well as Lyle Foster. And Portugal, the player has been relegated. We don't have a player in Italy. We don't have a player, Mr. Oti, who turns out for Abu Kana, what's this? Who turns out for Granada, Genoa, Sampdoria. We don't have these players, and maybe also it's equality. And if you're gonna talk comfort, Mr. Uti, I then went externally to check Uti in South America. How much do these guys earn, Mr. Uti? And I found it's ridiculous as well. But it's a cream of the crop that get these millions and they wear these watches. So is it really a matter of that we are so comfortable here because we get paid a lot, or maybe we are maybe comfortable because we don't understand Israeli Meganjani, and 2, maybe we're just not as talented. And by talented, it can be in 2 forms: talented for Europe or talented in general. Because remember, you can be talented for Europe and not be talented for Africa. You understand? There's a clip by Ulion Bailey that I sent to the group where he says, in Jamaica, for you to be a star, you have to be a power player, a player who relies on power because of the pitch. You understand? Because as the ball is coming, you have to be out here shielding people. You understand? Whereas where he's currently playing, as the ball comes, what you have to know is how to control that ball and how to scan around. And you can afford to scan because it pitch him none, you understand? Which I thought made a lot of sense when I thought, man, some of the players who play for Ghana, I look at them and I'm like, they're not good as Timbazwane, you understand? But they acclimatize well. They are power players, you understand, Mr. Uti. But I just wanted to say, Uti, maybe it's not really that we're so comfortable in terms of which is new, but is enough for us to not try and test ourselves outside. You understand, Mr. Uti? And another thing, when he mentions discipline, I fully agree with him. Because I've got 2 players who were my favorite players when they left the country. Mind you, not so much. Upenten Zungu, Mr. Uti, was a super player. A super player when he left the country. And you could see when he went there maybe quite old, but the trajectory that his career took, you could see he's the real deal. Going for being called by teams like Abu Mayoka, being sabotaged, Kadipampiri, ending up at Rangers. But then I think when Coach Roger speaks of discipline, he really talks about players like Abu Zungu. You understand? He's like, other players maybe can't crack it, but the players who actually can crack it get there and they just live it a bit local. You understand?
Yeah.
He was out there partying with like young girls, whatever. I was not there, but that's what rumors say. And he is a talent, Mr. OT, that could have gone far, I believe. You understand? We've got Aboka Tuso, who till today, Iklab Lewayaguyo still has a beef with him. You understand? I don't know if people know this, that when he was in Belgium, the director at the time was Hugo Bruce for the team that he was playing for. And Hugo Bruce, that's why he doesn't like him. It stems from Belgium. It's like this attitude. When he speaks of Uchali, he's not speaking from afar. He's worked with Uchali. And I think for 6 months, and Charlie got homesick, unfortunately. I understand. So it goes also into that our players do go homesick. But Mr. Oti, I've heard stories about when Mikel came over for trainer like SA. When Mikel Obi came over to train here in SA, legend has it that he was a cut above the rest. As a youngster, as a 16-year-old, he trained with Ajax Cape Town and Mr. OT, and even Ajax tried to say, let's sign you for like 6 months. They were like, he's going to menu. So sometimes, in as much as we can say we are comfortable, the guys who go out there sometimes to the big leagues and stay in the big leagues are super talented, Mr. Uti. And this is by no disrespect to Amachita. There's a guy who is South African.
For time's sake,
yeah. Just to wrap it up, went overseas. He did amazing. Got some top goal scorer. Got one of the highest form of his club honors. He came back to SA fed. And he was still killing teams, scoring a brace, a derby. I'm talking about Benny McCann.
Yeah, Benny.
He was literally playing a walking pace and killing teams in the PSL. So maybe we undermine or underestimate the talent level that you need to go overseas.
Okay. Let me welcome Tutuzile. Tutuzile, how are you? Welcome for the first time. I've seen you requesting a few times. You can just unmute there.
Kunjani bhuti wami?
Awu. Yebani.
Hayi no ngavite kasisi wami, awusisi wami, sisi wami.
Yekela ama-TikTok abosisi bakho bani, awu. But it's fine. Njani ukubizeni njani?
Nguthulane awuthi yami.
No, sharp. Tulani, what do you think about this conversation esikhuluma manje?
Ukubona kwami mina ngisemaphakathini. Ngicale ngibulisa bobhuti. Qala. Kodwa mina ukubona kwami ngisemaphakathini ngalento le. Why ngisho njalo? Yini into esifuna ukuyibuilda is South Africa thina. Sifuna ukwenza iPSL ibe competitive compared to amanye ama leagues, because if we take our quality players and send them to Europe, we are weakening our league. League is about weak. Look at Senegal. Senegal is nationally a powerhouse like Africa. But where is their league? We don't know anything about their league. Their league is pop. Look at Nigeria. Nigeria is a powerhouse when it comes to national. But where's their league? Their league is pop. Look at Ghana. Where's their league? Their league is pop. The only leagues that are performing well are the leagues that they don't send their best players to Europe. Look at Tanzanian league. They have Isimba kuma quarterfinals and Iyanga kuma quarterfinals of CAF. Look at Egypt. They have one of the biggest teams in Africa. Not my South Africa. We have one of the biggest teams in Africa, Sundowns, which has our best players. So if we take all the players and send them to Europe, izothini PSL angasikwazi ukukhompyutha. Okay, nationally asajabula, but in terms of like ama leagues, ku-CAF, kuma confederations, mesifuna ukubukela, we won't compete. So mina, I don't believe we should send or like push it the narrative. Let's send our quality players to Europe, because PSL years of struggle. Our league, angasalibukela ibhola. Kaizer Chiefs the Pirates, idabi izoba pop, because ama players obaselele South Africa, ama player weak, because all the quality players aboseleng aboratoma so basibabukele bazoba se Europe.
Yeah.
So to me, like, I don't push a narrative team. Hey guys, to compete, we need to send our players to top leagues, because qinisa ama league wabo lamachita lawaya. League ase Spain, league ase England sabaqinisa. Awethu ayasafara. So sifuna ukujabulisa abanye abantu amanye amazwe eEngland ukuthi babone ukuthi South Africa has uSeleng, South Africa has uThemba Zwane, but thina mesibukela la we have no one to be proud of, because Seleng abantu who don't have that high quality level of football intelligence. So mina, like, I don't push. If we look at Europe, yeah, good, but let's not make it like you must go and play in Europe. If you want to be successful, you must go and play in Europe. No, dog, because I'm a Nigerian league. Yes, suffering. These guys, they don't compete. When it comes to CAF, when was the last time uboni team as Nigeria ifika kuma quarterfinals of CAF? When was the last time uboni when was angaze ngake ngezwela ngeteam as Senegal? Team as Senegal ukuthi idlala iCAF angazi.
Yeah.
Isitshela ukuthini ngamaligi wabo lamajita. They took all their quality players and sent them to Europe. But now their leagues are suffering. So nathi sifuna ukuzibona silapho. And ngicela ukubekela ipoint lobusi2 ukuthi nathi singamajita, let's not compare ourselves nama Nigerian players, Senegalese players, because most of those guys, they were abazalelwanga in Nigeria first of all. First of all, abazalelwanga in Senegal. Lamajita azalelwe in Europe. They went to an academy, was a Europe. Aksabantu abasuka from Nigeria, abadlale from development, but bahamba by Europe. No, those guys, they were developed in Europe. So that's the difference between us and them. Tina is almost South African. We develop like from South Africa. South Africa, food in South Africa. You know nothing about European football. These guys, they grew up in Europe. That's why bona Guba inking amasokumele bakhetha ama nations okumele bawo represent.
Yeah.
Now they have to fight for Osaka. Osaka uthini? Mina ngiyazi Nigeria. Mina ngikhulele lo eEngland. Yilo nengiyazi. Not so sithola sesilapho. So let's not South African players right South Africa, the money is good and it has advantages. More importantly, advantages I get it to our friends because we watch quality football. We don't have to send our quality players to Europe because our league is going to suffer.
Thank you, Chulani. Guys, please tap the screen. And then also, thank you to the gifters. Thank you, Malibongwe. And thank you to Malume Kuto there. Kuma, I've got two questions. And guys, for this part, can we be just a little bit quicker with our answers? I've got two questions. I like the point that was raised by Chulani. Is our local league good enough to develop these players, number one? And to develop players to the point of, let's say, being able to compete with the European guys. That's number one. And then number two, having this plan B in the back of players' minds, does it create a culture where the guys know that, I can stay home. I don't need to be that good. I don't need to push myself. I don't need to go anywhere, because in as much as the PSL has great structures and all of that stuff, we are struggling, Okora, we struggle to produce players. A lot of the quality of the football is not that high anymore. Is that maybe influenced by some of this complacency? I'm just going to stay home, it's easier.
My guy, when you say we're struggling to produce players, do you mean players so they can go to overseas clubs?
No, at the level. So stay in South Africa, but can we compete with a European team if they were to come and play us?
Yeah, I've seen it before, although it was friendlies. I mean, like, we've never had to compete with players with clubs from abroad in a competitive match. Even Chiefs showed us where they can compete with United and Tottenham's when they came here. Even Sundowns, when they played against Barcelona twice, we could see, you know what, we can do it. Né? I mean, like, the problem is that for the longest of time, we were indoctrinated to think Europe is best, and to some elements, it is the best leagues across the world. Né? But guys, we do have some strong some strong teams. Case in point, I'm gonna use these people from Nazurena. They went all the way to CAF. No, although it was clubs competing in Africa, but it can show you the strengths of our PSL, including teams like Gallants. They fairly did great in the Confederations Cup, but they were relegated in the PSL. Corey shows you the standards are there. I understand the frustrations of our PSL, but let's not let's be fair. If you watch the leagues, the only exciting league that you are watching here, EPL. League One sucks, Bundesliga sucks, Eurodivisie sucks. There's the one in Amsterdam. Even the Italian league sucks. And not to be honest, I actually enjoy the championship more than the EPL sometimes, because I know when you're gonna get a Luton going against an Everton, it's gonna be a dull game. Like, it's no difference between watching Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates. Difference or they speak English, all of them. That's the only thing. But if you have to be honest, bro, give our PSL a chance. I know sometimes we do get mediocrity, but this league is exciting. I enjoy it thoroughly, despite who's playing most of the time, And like, the only difference between people who want to go to Europe, if we're taking out the Champions League aside, right?
Yeah.
It's the money, and the Euro.
You're cutting there, Kumo.
I don't know what needs to happen. Maybe the teams need to pull up their socks and be like a Sundowns. Then it will be great. Snap. Can you still hear me, or am I out?
I think make your final point, because you had cut there for a bit. I'm gonna come. If we have time, I'll come back again.
Okay. Are we the final panel, or are you going to talk about my dude?
I'm gonna refresh the panel.
Okay,
You can
sure.
jump in if there's space. Okay, I'll let me go to host Samor. Is our league good enough to develop these players? Kabane, on the one hand, I hear what everybody's saying, but Arishebe quality thing, it really is only one team that is that competitive, that is developing and building these players in terms of the league itself. So are they good enough? And then number two, there's a level of comfort that our players have that is also coming onto the pitch, where you see that mutu comfortable. Like, they don't want to push themselves. They understand that they don't need to do too much in order for the money to come. But if Team A am fire, Team B don't hire right now. What do you think about those two questions, Jose?
Can start with the second question, Mr. OT. It goes down to their discipline. As comfortable as they are playing in the PSL, it goes down to their discipline. You understand? Because most of our players, like Mohai, like most of them, the groovies. Some of those were like you understand? Finding players like Bapatela so much huge bills, like wherever they go, Kobo Konka and wherever. You understand? So it goes down to that kind of a discipline, more like go Europe. You don't live that kind of a life. You understand? Up to so far, I've never had the likes of Osimhen, or like maybe he was at a bar, like buying girls and these all things. The only thing you'll hear about him, the previous performance or the upcoming plans they have for their future. You understand? So it goes down to discipline, or no. I mean, let's look at a team like Chipa. I don't think like Chipa, as they are, they have a player a lot like is dreaming of playing overseas, only if not playing for Pirates or Sundowns or Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of discipline a lot like Ernelio and PS, a lot like players are lacking that kind of a discipline. And then coming back to your first question, of which is the last responder for now. I'd say okay, please remind me of the because like nearly this thing at the back of my mind. What was the first question, Konja?
The question was, is our league, if we're saying that players don't need to go to Europe, is our league good enough to develop players to that upper international level?
Yeah. I think we have that capability of producing one of the best players, Otine, because if we look at the best derbies around the world, Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates are amongst those best derbies, probably in the top 10. You understand? We have teams like like Egypt or far north like Dimukwa, but none of them are making that final cut at the best derbies around the world. You understand? So it shows her capability of producing quality players and best players is there. It's only a matter of like a discipline and then like sort of like to dream more. You understand? To dream more or like more like what or no this thing I batla honestly. But honestly speaking, we have the best resources to produce those kinds of players. Because for example, Otine. Let's look at this young fellow, the Kaizer Chiefs vilakazi. As young as he was for MDC, like he managed to grab a chance here, or like I trial go Spain, go Villarreal. You understand? So you'd ask yourself for like baba bona biang baba bona kai. So it shows like we have that kind of capability of producing players. Unfortunately, there's something wrong about the whole league structure. Or something. Okay. No, I'll end the OT. I'll end the because I get for packing network even where I am right now.
Okay, no stress. Let me bring in Hauser. You know the two questions. Are we good enough to develop these players? Because as what Samora has spoken about Vilakazi, he caught the eye of Villarreal, but then now benching Kaizer Chiefs. Will we see him again? Can we develop those players to be international world beaters? And then number two, does this nice cushion, hard times create hard men, and then hard men create soft times, and soft times create. Are we not in a situation where because this soft life, man, go PSL, I don't need to do a lot in order to make this money. I can score 5 goals, Chiefs can sign out for more money. I'll just go back to Skukune and live my life or wherever. Are we creating that type of situation or culture with this Plan B culture?
All right, let me start with the first one. We have the capability, and it's something we've spoken about. But then, one thing I'm realizing is that, I understand, guys, we must be patriotic to our league, and we want it to succeed, But then, for us to, let's talk about Bafana, when we talk about world beaters. And I will say this, exposure to the rest of the continent, exposure to the rest of the world through Club World Cup. We have the Sundowns that we have today. These players can play against anyone. Look at what we did with Algeria. There's that momentum we built. We look at when we played against Morocco, Nigeria. Exposure to other people and other things makes us a strong team and a strong league. But then let's take the context of exposure and bring it to our league. Sundowns is 13 points ahead of Orlando Pirates with 2 games in hands, 4 draws, and I think 14 wins. And then you look at number 2, number 3, number 4, they are at a level where the teams, I remember we were talking about, you guys were talking about this, I was not on, that, okay, you said that these teams need to fight back. Sundowns is not cheating. Anyone is not doing anything wrong. What we are basically, what I was getting is that we need to improve our standards. We can have world beaters. Mofokeng, Mfundo are examples of that currently. And unfortunately, Mailula got a bad deal, but he was. Or he still is, I hope so, that he's still one of the future world beaters from South Africa. But then what I'm realizing is that we do not have the people, the willingness. Now it jumps over to your second questions. The cushion that the leagues have created, the cushion that you're talking about is now affecting the clubs. Why would I want to improve? This is why we say that it's important Not that everyone will or should play in Europe, but we need representation. But because of the soft cushion, your Tembinkosi Lodge is okay with scoring 3 goals a season for Orlando Pirates, and those kind of things, because he knows the money is good. As a football too is a way of life, for these players. They earn a living just like you. If let's say you're an accountant, you're gonna wanna work for the biggest accounting firms. It's what Roger Desai is saying, and they say these guys are comfortable. They are not. Their attitude is not conducive for somebody who wants to perform at the highest level. And unfortunately, the highest level is Europe. It's not South Africa, bafana. South Africa will get there if we get the people who are willing to put in the work. But then currently, the place where we are, we need players to go to Europe and show them that South Africa is alive, with talent. We can't get. I saw the goalkeeper of Nigeria who plays for Chippa United. He's being scouted by teams in Saudi, Belgium, a bunch of European countries. That falls onto what you call the agent. But one thing about that is that it's showing that how people are easily trusting of Nigerians because they have a blueprint, right? So if I say that, I found a player in Nigeria, how many of you will look at me and go like, he's a bad player?
Yeah.
Compared to someone who'll say, I have a player from Nigeria, like, no, we know Nigerians, they are quality. But then when I say I have a player from South Africa, if we are being honest with ourselves, if I was to say, go to your Brighton, your Leeds, your team, and I say, hey, I have a player from South Africa, what blueprint do they have of current players that can say, yes, I know South Africans, We need players who will be exposed to the best of the best, so that when they come back, they come back with that experience. But unfortunately, we don't see that. Because we reward mediocrity in South Africa, unfortunately. You look at situations where players come from overseas and they haven't played and they are gaining weight and all those things, but they get the highest salaries. That's my thing with it, that we must have people, we must produce players. And this falls onto the league itself, the conversations we've been having about management. And second of all, we must create tough times for these guys. So we must pressurize them to go and play for Europe. It's unfortunate that Tembazwan, Ronan Millers are in their 30s. But then the guys who are coming after them, we need to put the pressure that, guys, aim for the best. Aim for the best. South Africa, it aims soft life, but then aim for the best, compete with the best, or else we will remain in this position for the next 10, 20 years and nothing improves in our league.
Okay. Let me go to Prince. Prince, same 2 questions. Are we could develop these players into world beaters, number 1? And then number 2, is there not a bit of the soft life thing where the players are comfortable and maybe a little bit too comfortable?
Greetings again. I just wanna quickly run to, first before I answer the question, run to one of the divisions that we've got. There's a team called Marumo Gallants. There's a player there by the name of let me remember, Tapelo Zulu or something. He's a striker there. He was just signed recently. And there's a backline or a defender called Skosana. Forgot his name. When I look at these players, they are PSL written over developed players. But unfortunately, because of where they are based, they can't play. Now, why am I mentioning that? Our PSL is so good to develop players. If you go to the teams like Orlando Pirates, they've got all potential players that are able to take our league to a higher level. The truth is, Pirates is on top of the form right now. You can check when the derby was played. Pirates was one-man show playing. You can check when they were playing Sundowns where
Hey, Prince. Okay, we'll come back to Prince. Malame Kutso, same 2 questions. Is our league good enough to develop these players? And then number 2, is there a bit of complacency within our league?
I want to start my answer by asking you just one simple question, and please don't overthink it.
Okay.
Give me 3 of the best players in the PSL. Just 3.
Inside of Sundowns or outside of Sundowns? Or
just in South Africa, 3 players. Even if they're all from Sundowns, it's fine. I'm fine with that.
I'd say Zwane is up there. Mokwena is up there. I'd have to give it to Williams. Well,
That is exactly what I thought, right? Now, I just want to point to take those three players and say, if Manchester United came and said they want a player, who is most likely to succeed in the EPL from those three players?
Tebuho would be...
We are done. So my point is, football, the way we understand it as South Africans, is different from how we love it. So Uteboho Mokwena is a product of Tottenham Hotspurs and Supersport Academy. The way they identify players, what they see is very different from what we love. So I'm worried right now that the likes of our Mufukeng, they are back trending. It's taking us back to Abu Chabupuli.
Yeah.
When back in the day, we had the likes of Abu Kanaking, Quentin Fortune, Penny McCarthy, boys with a big body. And the reason why we are picking Uteboho Mokwena, he's not physically challenged. Like Baba Mtecho said, even the Nigerians were complaining with us as these South Africans are aggressive. It's because the player was developed in a European mold. That's why we are all comfortable. You see, even the comments, you are all comfortable to say that one, he's a player. Agashaya Matsamaya, but we can see which layer understand the football. It's a way out. Now the ground guard. And I saw a picture again of Mikel team. I think it's also from the same structure as well, where he was Tottenham, Lobo, David Beckham or something like that. And this guy,
Sonright Phillips spoke about him.
Yeah, the way he plays football, he has an understanding of the size of the pitch, shape your pitch. Unfortunately, our players, Mr. OT, the ones we love, the South Africans, the ones we promote, Ukaraba understand the football as a sport. There's a sport that they understand, but it's not football. And maybe it's futsal or it's something else, but it's not the football that's played to win. You understand? But they are more they are more fixated on the pause after the pass more than the run you make after the pass. They are more fixated on the crowd reaction more than the reaction of the net with the ball being inside it. You understand? So I want to say we are capable because we can point to certain players to say, okay, this guy is very good. You understand? He can play. But then the players we gravitate towards, you see, even in the top three that I think as a country we all agree with, that's the top three. We all know once the going gets tough, our favorite might not be the actual guy, the actual go-to, but it's this one.
Yeah.
It's because he's properly developed. He knows how to play football. He knows the size of the pitch. He knows when to run. Ganjan. So if we can take that blueprint of developing players in that way, we can find ourselves with more medals. I want us to step away as a country from because they entertain me as well, Mr. Uti. These kind of king, flamboyant type of players, they entertain me as well. But for the benefit of the country, we must have less of them. We must have them in the team, but less of them. It can't be that right now we are excited. We are saying South Africa is coming, and we point out the same player. By the same player, we are pointing by same player. I mean Mufukeng, Campbell, Mfundo, Shabala. This is all the same player. How many wingers can you put in one team? How many number 10 can you have in one team? No one is talking about the next level. When I hear people are like, Tito Masong, I cannot replace one. That's not even the main problem. The main problem is who's going to replace Mokwena? Who's going to be the heartbeat of the team? I see a lot of people who they may not be as good, but they are in the mold. What did I do?
But then,
they are in the mold of Chambers one.
Isn't that part of the complacency? Because it's not just complacency by way of players. For me, it feels like it's complacency by way of the league. They're making enough money, ends are meeting. They don't have to go and look into development and do all of those things properly. And when they do, it's a partnership with somebody else. And Sundowns will run away with 1, 2, and 3. Isn't that part of the complacency that we have as a country with our league being so commercially good?
No, we are easily satisfied as a country in general, Mr. Oti. But individually, we do get a spike in the graph. And every time there's a spike in the graph, the spike is quickly removed. You understand? The last time we had a player grab the league by a scruff of its neck. It was Uchulani Serrero. And he did not last. They were like, angek. I know people are like, yeah, we've got great players, but when a great player comes along, they are quickly removed from the system. Another one after Chulani Serrero that came was Upesitao. As a young man, he was doing the most. He was doing some flicks, taking on players, and Brighton came through and signed him. By the way, Pesitao signed for Brighton and was loaned out to Belgium. Not that he was signed from the Belgians. No. So what I'm saying is, when you do get someone with a proper ambition and proper style of play, they are rewarded immediately, Mr. Woods. They never stay around. Just like the boy in the picture who played 6 months for Sundowns, Kesha Smailula, and then immediately was taken out of the system. We must not think the players who are here are the best of the best and they don't want to go overseas. I doubt there are as many players who've gotten team offers from real teams, not Romania, not Andorra, not Cyprus, real teams, EPL, La Liga. I doubt we've had any players get offers from there and reject them themselves. The one player who I know, and he still regrets till today when he's interviewed, who actually rejected a proper team, is Steve Licolea with PSV. And in every interview that he goes to, he says that's his biggest mistake. So we must not pretend as if these boys are actually really, really comfortable. They're not getting the right offers, Mr. O. They're not getting the lucrative offers from EPL. And when they get there, some of them, they are exposed, Wuti, you're not the real deal. Which is, can I just add on, which is the mentality of our current coach who looks at the player and says, you're not the real deal, but it's fine. I'll select you. Thank you, Mr. Uti.
Thank you. Tulani, to close off this segment, before I bring in the next panel, what do you think about the two questions? Are we good enough to get these players to be world beaters? Should they stay, if they stay? And then secondly, a lot of the guys have just, I've got my GTI, I've got my house, I don't necessarily have to win the league. I don't even have to, do that much. Is there that sort of complacency as well that's creeping into our players and then also stopping them from maybe wanting to go overseas?
Awuthi ngiqale ngalo mbuzo wokusi 2. Bhuti wami i-league i-PSL angeke siyiblame because i-PSL yona ifuna ukcreate i-league eba competitive, so that's why bona they like ba keep more funding, ba make sure ukuthi if udlala ku-PSL uzophila soft life. They don't want to lose players bona vele because they want to stay babe competitive. So I don't think i-PSL i-wrong ukwenza kanjalo, i-right because vele sifuna ukucompete. So lo qala ukuthi siyakwazi ukuthi siproduce ama-players angadlala e-Europe. Yebo, ngiyavuma ukuthi sure siyakwazi. Look at abo Ungezana i-product ye-Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah.
Bamthathile. Look at Lyle Foster. Lyle Foster was taken from MDC yaku Orlando Pirates. Mangakho ku first team ebamthatha. It's just that the Orlando Pirates, they forged ukuthi bathe mebazi ukuthi ba interested Europe but wena sesakupromote. Look at Unjabulo Plum. Unjabulo Plum products development Kaizer Chiefs. Look at Benny McCarthy. Look at Tulani Serrero. Lamajita ama products wama development. Abuya straight from development. But now umbuzo kumele siwubuze ukuthi do we have quality coaches? We do have quality players, but do we have quality coaches? The problem most of the times, abantu abaningi bathanda ukuthi hey, I'm a player. You can't play if you don't have a right coach. If you don't have a right coach, you angeke sibone i-full potential yakho. I like what uRulani ne-Sundowns into abayenzayo to ama-players wabo. Khona ama-players adlalela i-Sundowns. Mesingakawazi ushalulile mebamthatha ku-Highlands nabomvala, they were not great players, they were not fantastic players, they were not exciting players. But bathe bafika ku-structure bathola i-coach uPitso, Rulani. That type of coach can unlock the greatness in you. So thina umbuzo esinawo kuthini, let's look at ama-coaches acoacha ku-PSL. What qualifications do they have? What kind of football do they install in these intelligence yama-players wethu? Because sometimes nama-player wekho mnandi eyibhola le-South Africa labhora, but if you check ama-tactics we-coach, you're like, damn, the coach it doesn't have a clue ukuthi ngenzakalani egrawundini. So ithelekela kuphi emaplayeni kuba ngathi ama-player ama-player wase-South Africa awalazi ibhola.
But then Tshwane, doesn't that also go to our club? Because the other complacency thing that I'm speaking about is that Sundowns, for example, and I'm not a Sundowns fan, but Sundowns, you know what's expected from you. Day one ungena, we asked the Guti, I'm meant to win this, I'm meant to do this, I'm meant to do this. If I don't do it, bazon keeper. But then on the same token that we say I'm a player, are complacent, kuyafana nakuba coach. Aba coach bethu, they know good. I'm fired today, tomorrow I've got another job. I'm fired today, they'll pick me up somewhere else because I've been there. Doesn't this also boil down to ama club way to Guti? The clubs, what are your ambitions? What are you doing? Do you want to get better? Do you want to do better? I feel like indaba yethu culture yethu comes from all the way from the top all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. Most of our club wethu, they are not in like a football business. Bona, they want to make money. They want to make quick buck. That's the problem with most of our most of our PSL clubs with PSL club owners with, because they will get the money, but they won't reinvest. They will take the money, chow the money, because we see, okay, but we see I'm a club, they complaining about, hey, Sundowns, they buying all the quality players. Hey, Sundowns. Yes, the Sundowns, when they buy that quality players from, for instance, Highlands, but to Shaluli, let's say 5 million. What does Highlands Park do with that 5 million rand? Do they take that 5 million rand, reinvest to look for another quality player, or do they chow the money and keep it as a profit?
Yeah.
They take that money and keep it as a profit. They don't reinvest good quality.
Okay.
You take Marumo Gallant. Marumo Gallant, they made a lot of money. Like if last season or 2 season ago, CAF Confederations. But the owner was greedy. He took that money and chowed alone. So the problem is here. They are not running a football business. They want to make money. That's all. Kaizer Chiefs, for instance. Kaizer Chiefs has a lot of fan base. Banama membership. They make a lot of money on a monthly basis. And they selling. But what did they do with that money? Nothing. They took that money, profit, but save them a cost. They don't want to reinvest to football. Yes, in South Africa. So, in King, our owners way too. Most of our owners way too. They are greedy. They are greedy. And bafunu point our fingers. Good low moshipola. But we all making money. When with that money, you are taking that money. We're humble. You want to buy. You enjoy. You clap your safari. But take that money, reinvest. Uzoibona na kumonoko. Monako. But saying sumpape. What did they do with that money? They chowed that money. There was a time Monaco, because they don't reinvest. So thinking I'm a club owners, it's greedy. That's namalo hire I'm a quality coaches. Oh, I know this guy. Let me put him. It's in Umtati, Zumpatali Malingara. Cheap.
For
You
time's
don't wanna.
sake. Yeah.
Sure, good.
Just for time's sake, my brother, to allow the others to come in. We sell them niggas there, ni phone, man. Niggas there, phone, ni phone. Yeah. Thank you for joining me, my brother.
Sure, good. Well.
Let me go to, well, before I move on, guys, please tap the screen. For those on YouTube, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, on my profile, click on subscribe. There's a join button. Click on the join button, and then you'll gain access through the membership program that side. I wanna take this conversation and flip it on its head. I want us to go the other way around now. Velile nangu Cassius Mailula. Ambile, he went to Toronto. As the dream signing is going to America. As everything looks to be great. Now we find out Guti, as the Konabo Penadeshi, Konabo Insigne, he's not getting game time. It looks like it may have been the wrong move. Now I want to focus on the guys that go overseas. Are they ready to go overseas? Well, before I ask you the question, what do you think about the Cassius Mailula situation? Velile Mtagababa, welcome.
Yes, sabona mntakababa, sanibona nabafowethu la. Hey, okokuqala umayilula vele wahamba ngathi uyabaleka nje. Ideal yakhe ngene nje. Nale time yenzeka nje. Yayenze ngathi yenzela phansi kwamakhabethe like quick. Quick ngazi bekwenzakalani. It was not an honest clear naye beyangazi mhlawumbe ukuthi uyaphi. Ngimblame kakhulu, but then sometimes it shows research that some of the players need to do when they are going to certain teams. Especially overseas, or whereby you have to know the team that you're going to, and you need to know who plays in your position there, and do you have chance to play there on that team, or will you have an opportunity, especially if you are going to uzothenga a team but without the affirmation your coach, if he's going to play, it just becomes difficult there. That's why Ekamayilula idili ayizange besiye straight move forward. That is besingazi ubiyahamba. We were like harsh nje. I think the agent as Bruce wash wathi idili ayibhede nje agent bezifunela imali amazi ucoach wethu akalala endleleni. Hugo Bruce kwesinye isikhathi ngimthandela lokho nje uyalikhuluma iqiniso lo elingakhona. But on a serious note, nokunye futhi if you have to compare ngibuyele emuva kancane on our initial comments nabafowethu obuyikhulumile, ikakhulukazi ngichazeke kakhulu lo mfo abamboleka ifoni yalubhuti ududuzile. Yabo ubekile naye okuningi emazweni ukuthi masingathi abheka angeke siqhathanise. We cannot compare like isikhathi sakudala as compared to now, because if you look at previously there were different reasons for players to go overseas. Mainly it was about money. In terms of going to develop me as a player and how no, but mainly it was about money, because we can argue with most of the class of 96 abaningi bahamba after they've won that tournament. So we cannot say they were not in a higher quality standard. No, they were playing here locally. Most of them go Pirates, like 5 or 6. They perform on the CAF Champions League, and then they come and perform for Bafana, and then we won the African Cup of Nations. So there's different reasons, and also we need to take into consideration most of the until feedback. I don't know what the phone.
I'm not sure. We've had it the whole day. Yeah, the Kubeg, and then just fight through it to the board.
Yes, and if you look at this situation as compared like previously and now, and you look at the global economy, most teams, whether in Europe or in Africa, were affected by a financial crisis, and at the same time, it also affected their spending, because there are few teams in Europe now who are spending. Those are big in a big league like EPL, Spain, Italy, but Italy they're not spending much now. Italy, France, I think there are 5 countries, like we can say they're big. The other ones I can barely tell you, with most of the Sundowns players, they're earning more money than the players on those overseas teams. So and then what will be beneficial for a Sundowns player just to move overseas? End of the day, I got to and closer even to family, it's home. So we are able to be unfair. So and also food, if you have to compare, ushilo ubhudududuzile la ukuthi if you compare ukuthi namanye player wa South African countries, 80%, 90% of those players, they've never played in Africa. They were developed in Europe. They grew up there. Their parents are there. So their development format is a European-based format. Yet development is not an African. They've never played in Bobo Dioulasso. They've never played in Burkina Faso. They don't know. And what make it easier for them, good for them, most of the West African, if you go to history in terms of like the French colony, it's easier for them with the language on that side and the culture of certain doing things because that was their colonizer. So when they're there, most of them, they're like at home. So it's easier even for them to adapt into the language and the people and the culture of the French. So we cannot be hard on ourselves. I'm a player, soweto, they are sometimes not prepared to go there. They don't work hard. They do work hard. They do work out. Is that on our side? That our league is stronger with more participation of CAF competition, yes, Sundowns. I just wish you could among coaches, almost certain teams, they can take CAF competition serious so that all our players can get exposure. Because some of the exposure now, it helps players to go and play overseas or to be identified. But Nakona must also identify you with what it comes back to a player with, okay, are you available for sale? Then because most of performers you're not for sale. So which means each and any team that will come looking for you, they have to pay big bucks. So if the offer is not good, why must we go or why must Sundowns accept those players? So we mustn't be harsh on ourselves. And also on a lighter note, I'm a legend wethu now, they must come to the party. Bangayekela boLucas, bayekela ukufuna boSafa, ba-own ama-seats elites, bangathatha umfana oyi-1 or 2, go and train there for trials or off season. That was also our legends have to come to the party and do something. But what our players is difficult to break into the market of overseas. Banganceda nje ngokunye. Take of players should uMcCarthy nje play one albonile ukuthi angalisa nje lapha eManchester altrain nje likho nje off season nje lichime nje eUK neManchester. Hayi come on bafethu. Nabo abozuma they are legend eDenmark. Show la yakhona nje ngisho ukufaka iplayer na ku second B team nyana nje. Hayi. Now they must come to the party basinceda hayi.
Okay, time when ungene topic le enye bana. Guys, let me go to
I was faka muzukulu yana athi njalo usifaka kwezinto
umsoco. Show uyahamba, show uyahamba.
Wena uhlala usifaka kule umsoco sowuphelile la hayi.
Ngithi kubele ufaka umsoco kulena bana. Let me come to Richie. Richie, welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
I'm good. Tell me, what are your thoughts about this Cassius Mailula situation? Went overseas, it's not working out. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen this happen with a South African player like this. What are your thoughts around this one, your general thoughts?
You know, OT, this boy is very young. And in a young age, you can't, I think in this case, it was a matter of the agent being greedy. You understand? The agent was very greedy in this matter because even Hugo Bruce, you see, I like that old Madala with his controversy, but he's an open book. You understand? He tells you what he sees. You can never take a Cassius Mailula to a Toronto FC team knowing that the league is based in America and the league focuses on legends that are coming from Europe, you understand? So for them, that is like a retirement league, you understand? So obviously for a young boy like Cassius Mailula to go there and go play there, he's not going to play because the league focuses on old guys that are coming to make money there, you understand? The agent was very unfair and was money driven, because if you check, I like the speaker in the first panel that spoke about Abotulani Serero, Abo Pesitao. You know, the nice thing about Ajax had a partnership with Amsterdam. and you can see that Amsterdam is a development-based team.
Mm.
You understand? They focus on the development of their players.
Mm.
They focus on these small players that are no names and make them big names. Now, I think for our country and our boys, you can't expect for an example, a Tebogo Mokwena that's in form now, one of the best players in our country at the moment. You can't take a Tebogo Mokwena to the EPL. It's not going to happen. You understand? Take a Tebogo Mokwena to Ajax Amsterdam. Take a Tebogo Mokwena to Club Brugge. You understand? Where we know that Tebogo Mokwena is going to excel, and then when he excels from there, he's already got the knowledge, he's already got the experience of the EPL. That's where now, of Europe, that's where now we can move to the EPL and excel. Our mistake is that with the Pesitao thing, the mistake was that he was bought by Brighton, and when he was bought by Brighton, he couldn't cut to the chase there. You understand? Because he's not used to European football, and he's not used to European life. So I feel like our agents and our coaches that negotiate these deals should negotiate with teams that know that, okay, if we take a Tebogo Mokwena to Amsterdam, if we take a Tebogo Mokwena to Lyon, if we take a Tebogo Mokwena to Club Brugge, we know that Tebogo Mokwena, first of all, is going to get game time. Secondly, Tebogo Mokwena is going to gain experience. He's going to be able to adapt to the life of European football. Now, with the players, for an example, with the players that we have at the moment in our country, for an example, if you check the Mamelodi Sundowns players, right? Players from South America, Sundowns has a scout that goes to South America and go get players there and come and play in our country. And they are happy with playing in our country. They enjoy themselves because Sundowns invest. Sundowns makes sure that if we go and get a player overseas, when he comes to South Africa, he needs to make an impact. I can't go fetch a Gonzalez, for an example, in our team, Chiefs. They went to fetch a Gonzalez, and he came here. Gonzalez did nothing. You understand? We need to focus on, firstly, the players that we send overseas. We must send them to clubs that we know that they're going to add on to the development that has been placed in them in our country. Secondly, we need our scouts need to go, when they go overseas, make sure that the players that they bring here are not players that are just going to be there by name, but are players that are going to impact and play a role in the development of our football.
No,
that's my 2 cents, OT.
I'm gonna come back, Patrice. I've got a question there, guys. Please tap the screen. Thank you to those who are gifting Kolana. I just saw it coming in now. Let me go to Agent. Agent, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Nakimunati, Agent. What are your general thoughts about this Cassius Malula situation?
Yeah, I'm coming from the bench today, so I'll lead home first. But I don't know. I'm looking for the correct word to use, but I think the safe option or the safe opinion is a failure. But for me, I would still say give it a year before you can classify it as a failure. Right? Now, the reason why I'm not yet in the category of classifying the move or being critical of the move as of yet is for few reasons, right? Let's look at Opesitao, right? Opesitao, yes, there was the traveling, everything, you know, the whole UK, whatever, right? But look at the journey that he went through, and even after that whole journey, that whole development in Europe, still got to Brighton, he couldn't cut it, right? Let's look at Uzwane, the best player the past 10 or so years. Some say arguably the best overall, but I don't know about that. But for argument's sake, in the last 10 years, look at his rise. Goes to Sundowns, can't cut it, gets loaned down to, was it Aces? What is it? You know? Look at Otau also. Similar pattern, you know? So we look at our players and say, even if they are here, we still sometimes have to loan them out to give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know? You look at your players, the youngsters at Chiefs.
Hey, vilakazi,
We always say,
hey.
you know, there's a whole list of them, and always saying, guys, give them a loan, even if they go to the lower division, right? So that they get game time, you know? Because what we are basically saying is they're not yet developed to the standard of the PSL, right? It speaks to our development, that the development, and I would make the argument that an 18-year-old this side, I mean in England, is equivalent maybe to a 25-year-old this side, you know? So it speaks volumes to our development, that there's a huge gap between our development and the PSL, right? So now when you're taking a player who has played 6 months in the PSL and you're taking him to Europe or whatever, MLS, let's not be too harsh on him, saying he's not playing, maybe that's the bad decision, what. It speaks to our level of development, that our level of development is not that yet that great, you know? So I think let's not be harsh on the boy. I still feel like it could be a good move. Let's wait and see, you know, because like I said, it is his development right now is equivalent, if not better, than if he had to get loaned out to a lower side, you know, because you know Sundowns, you know. Yes, remember his rise was when Oshalule was injured, everyone was injured, came in, Shalule's back, we sent Ribeiro, next you have Sun Lodge, next summer we're gonna sign another player. Where's Mazembe gonna play? Exactly, you know. So somehow at some point we're gonna say, ish, this guy needs a loan so that he can play more. So let's not be harsh on the, but I think this is the way to develop, and I think he will develop rightly. So I'll give him a chance. But I'll come back to why our players struggle overseas, because I think that's a separate matter that I don't want to go to yet.
Let me go to Caesar. Caesar, how are you? Welcome. Let me just help you unmute there.
Stappen, how are you?
I'm Ngimnandi, Caesar. Caesar, what are your thoughts about this Cassius Mailula situation?
Bro, I've got two issues to grapple with. The first one is the guy must tough it up. Uyabona nje mawuse usukile ekhaya, usukile kwi-environment ojwayele. You must tough it up and be a man. Let's take for instance Ungezane. Ungezane, when they took him from Chiefs, eyodlala khole Romania, I'm not sure. The first few games they said he's a bad player. The manager there, he even said, I wasted my money with this guy. But he toughed it up. He toughed it up now. He's the best player in the team. When he's not there, they are not winning. So he must tough it up. And we cannot say that our players are not developed enough. They are developed enough. But there is a level of development. There is a youth development, and there is a primary, a total development when the player has to play. The coaches must work hard to take that player to another level. If you are not getting a good coach to coach you and tell you now we are not in the junior level,
Yeah.
we are in the league now. You have to have that coach. Like for instance, if you coach we supersport, that guy can build a player. A player from nowhere. He can build it. He can build that player, and that player can become good.
Yeah.
Look at how many youngsters he's producing now. So we've got the development, but the development must also tie up with the coaches now. That has to take them and give them the experience of playing to the proper league, to the professional league. That's the problem. And also our referees. Their referees are so soft when it comes to these players. When these players goes to a league like playing with the tough boys, they are so soft. When you watch the leagues in Europe, hey, ithambo liyaqina there, bro. Ithambo liyaqina. And la umdlali mekathintwa nje ngehlombe igame isimisiwe. So really there is a different, if we can teach ama players ukuthi abe tough, there must be a man and bazi ukuthi we are in another level, in another country.
Yeah.
It's cold, it's all of those things. If they can learn that, then we can do more. That's my 2 cents, bro.
No, thank you so much, Caesar. Guys, please tap the screen. Let me go to ASAP Chembe. How are you? You can just unmute it. There we go. Mina ngimnandi. Tell me, we bona njani le ndaba ka Cassius Mailula?
Sure, Manjam. As I think in an overall sense, I'd like to say that as South Africans, we need to maybe not be so overly harsh on our football in a general sense. I feel like we've perfected identifying isn't just bona is shotayo, but not too many of us are able to come up with solid business solutions that could help us make the league to be that vision that we potentially see in our head that makes us so disappointed, hence we complain so much. Because this is hard, Mafia, to like inzima lentenzakalayo, which is football in holistic terms. Whether it's from the management perspective, whether it's from the player perspective, whether it's from the fan perspective, this needs a lot of people involved, which means it needs a lot of brains involved. So if we're going to decide to contribute to this beautiful thing that we love, which is South African idiski, then we need to also uplift what's happening with those people that we see. We need to like push them up. Against already the tough economical landscape that they already face, because we already know the numbers are high, but the income is high and the expenses are high. So these are very fine margins that Amachita have to work with, especially like South Africa, which is a third world country in Africa at the end of the day. So finance so no softer hands, man, because he's so young and so fragile and has no one there. So ufragile umuntu lona uyiwane mncane already akatholi game time nathi ku social media siphezu kwakhe uyafela and I cook renderings because fere USA is already know ukuthi akuna relegation la lezi esikhala ngayo sithi zivalela uMailula ziyaguga dog. And at the same time the beautiful thing is uMailula ufunda stuff is buyer from those two strikers on a holistic view ngempilo, because I don't think this is the end of Mailula. So he needs to learn a lot of life lessons, enable for him not to flop, mega figure level. And and he's also gaining a lot of insights, bro. He's gaining insights, and we already know when these guys leave, Mailula is probably the player for the future. I don't think Mailula's talent ends in 12 months. No. Mailula mpethu simbonile simpeka athatha over uDaiden Sushalulile like it was nothing. And Ushalule, we regard him as a high level mjita mfethu. And if Mailula can fill that gap, as I say ntwana kalula nje, it's a God-given thing. And yena mega funda ukuyiprotect aDaiden sayihloniphe, na izomhlonipha mfethu. And I think fanele sibe soft nyana kumjita, you know, even though iGrootman agent uRob Moore wathi the best like trajectory for South African players, PSL to Scandinavia or Portugal, because there's technical things that South African players don't have.
Mm.
Those smaller nyana technical things that they don't have. Ukutrap, ukupasa, yashaya still, misringivar. So they go to those lower league teams because there's still time to work on those things. If you send Mailula straight to England, he's going to drown. It's too competitive. So you need to build his confidence up first. You also need to build his level of skill set. That's all. In an environment like that means so ukrenda ka USA umchita but USA igna relegation, and I believe that the PSL is probably better than the league yakada. But ama insights awafundayo da bethu abhaya than Latina besokhona ukumgaya wona, especially for the type of future I think he has. I think this boy has a bright future. So amachita lawe bafana bakusasa abozwana mebahlala phansi, abumuda mebahlala phansi, abomvala mebahlala phansi, because le crop le yaka Hugo yavaya mfethu, these guys are old. So we need to usher in that new generation that's going to come take over these brews, which is Abo Mailula, which is Abo Campbell, Logo Supersporti, which is Abo Mfundo. Those are the boys. If I nisile kuba ashara yangithola. So asibaka isikhathi bafethu amachita azofunda izinto fanele bazifunde, and then from there on nige we still have time, man. We still have time with this boy. Yeah, I mean, I believe kule ntwana mfethu. I don't know if you'd allow me to also to touch on the Lucas and Safa situation. Just got mad, you know.
We had that the other day. Yeah, we had that the other day. I'll make another day for it, just for time's sake. I want to get everybody in again.
Respect.
Let me go to Velile. ASAP Shem has spoken about ushering these players. I want to move the spotlight away from Cassius, and I want to put it on the people that manage and the agents and all of that. Are they putting enough time into finding these clubs for these players? Because for me, you have a Cassius Mailula that side in MLS, but you also have Njabula Plom. And when you look at Njabula Plom's situation, it's like, okay, maybe they did some research. South African coach, Brentley Canel, team yakona, maybe they had a CDM space there. Ubonabanye going over to Abu Europe, Abu Kemang Judas Busiamedi going over to Cyprus 6 months later, having to come back. Whereas you see guys like Abu Ngezana who go that side and are finding their way. I'm an agent, I'm a manager. Way to how much, not blame, but how much do they contribute to these things?
Angazi ngicela mhlambe if ngaphambuka kancane ngikhuma endleleni because mina okokuqala ngizwa ubhudu umkhululi lephezulu akhuluma la on the live, so bengithi mhlambe ngamnika nje ithuba kancane nje athi kubeka 2 minutes or 3 minutes bese siyabuyela kimi ke. Angazi mhlambe ngiyaphambuka na.
Asinasikhathi ngibeka isikhathi, that's the problem.
Oh hayi akunankinga, hayi bhudu shebe ngithi ngiyakucelela hayi cha. So enjoy vote. Lalela baf. I don't know. I was watching one of the programs on YouTube whereby they interviewed the agents, and the way those agents corner and the courses that they have to do, and nomshikashe when bawenze to get those licenses to do ama coaching wakhona ama ukuthengisa kwabadlali kube inkinga kakhulu. So popcorn ubaba ngifonela manje dlala ngami hayi angimazi popcorn
ufonelwe ebusuku ngilahla levo ngeheba
angimazi popcorn ayingangixolela so you listen to those guys the way they talk, and sometimes you would swear ukuthi are really these agents or abantu nje who are just in there for doing something le abayizwa ngomunye umuntu or what? Because there was no, I'm not going to say substance kangako, but in the world of agents and the world of management, in terms of manage high quality players that are playing in a professional setup, you will think with those guys they are highly professional, and in terms the engagement that they will have with their player before they could represent those players and taking one player to another team, there will be a research done from both team and both from other side, and both also from the family background and the culture. So that's why there was a time whereby chairperson had a problem with ama-agent uchairperson we-PSL hayi we-pirate we-PSL because mangathi we-pirates bazovele bangayathenga ibele ngo-PSL. He had a problem kakhulu ngama-agent esinawo. There are few of those agents that we can say ukuthi they take their work seriously. And they do researches in terms of countries that they take our players to, and also nakhona the education that still need to be instilled on our players, because at sometimes abanye you will hear ukuthi player lifunwa or it's rumors, but there's no offer. It's rumors. It's going out there saying, oh, there's someone whatsoever, but there's no offer. So you get players confused also nakhona, because we can also say good Nama agent has got a part to play in terms of, because once you can talk about that thing ukuthi or umuntu akuhlebele nje athi iBurnley yakufuna or what yakufuna, surely even now your attitude as a player sometimes it change. I'm told you look forward to that movement, but sometimes if it doesn't materialize, then it becomes a problem. So some of the agents, they don't see ukuthi the ento lena khona iyawalimaza futhi abadlali bethu emqondweni kakhulu, because bese ubhekile ukuthi sengiyakhupha kwezinga ngiyaphezulu manje mhlawumbe ngiyodlala pheshana nani, kodwa mangaba kwenzeki futhi lokho ubuya udangele sekubonile futhi kwenzakalile abadlali abaningi futhi nabotiko kwenzakalile nabo Steve Likole kwenzakalile. Even now I think uSaleng is the same thing that happened naye, because of those nitty-gritty negotiations nantisho kwenzakalani. So but I think also from Nancy, we need to have a structure. I'm not quite sure whether like professionalism structure for amateurs, because sometimes ama player vele esumfowethu oyi-1 oshilo thi amanye ama-team like ishu ka-Lyle Foster, i-Pirates only promoted him imfaka ku-first team because he had ukuthi uyafuneka somewhere. So it becomes a problem ukuthi okay, now do you man imfaka la, you know ukuthi vele once I sign a professional contract, then the value of Lyle Foster now in terms of like trading iyakhuphuka, because now we've got a professional contract. But while if bekungcono if we still have that conveyor belt Ajax Cape Town, of which yenze ama-player njengabo Sirero bakhona ukuya phesheya, even nabo Benny McCarthy and also abo Ninja Mufokeng, because there was that conveyor belt that was created by Ajax Cape Town kube lula abadlali baye phesheya, and also that partnership here SuperSport ne-Feyenoord, which I think it was one of the best, which produces the best players abo Ronwen, Erasmus, most of the SuperSport players they come from that academy. I think also coaches now, they need to play a really critical role, because at sometimes we use lower tournament or junior tournament like even about DTC. You watch that thing. Coaches way to lapayana. They want to win at all costs. It's no longer about development, because I expect what I've watched DTC match team it is at this time. Then come next 2 or 3 weekend when they play, I want to see a different shape in terms of look at, okay, that player, this is a player that I was watching in the past 3 weeks, but now I could see there's changes here on this aspect of the game, nama movement also in the shape yet could see. If we can stop this thing of just winning at all costs, is able to scout a code. But when I'm an agent, they really need to be formalized as such. And I don't know how professionalism was. Now maybe you know 2 or 3. But I can tell you there are so many out there. But yeah, we only want 2, maybe 3. But yeah, you should even hear them talking. You ask yourself, does this person represent players? Like we are and discuss the contract. Some of them know, but
Okay. Let me bring it on Richie. Richie, how much responsibility do we give to the agents and managers? You know, in the situation Gakese Mailula, I remember him saying in an interview that he didn't want to put his head into these things of this team wants me, that team wants me. He wanted to focus on his performance, and he trusted his managers. And again, it's not to say that the move is a complete dud or it's dead, but for him to be in the situation, and for other South African players we've seen in the past, some get stranded in Europe and they don't have a way to come home. Others, find that it's a completely different situation. How much responsibility do we give to agents and managers here?
I think we I think they are given too much responsibility, or they are given too much freedom. I don't want to say responsibility, because it is their responsibility to be able to take care of these players, to make sure that these players, when they go overseas, they are taken care of. I just feel that the level of research done on the environment and where the player is going, really, I don't think they put much time into that aspect. You understand? Because look at some of the countries in Europe. You understand? You can't. There are countries like Israel. Who wants to go play in Israel, knowing that they'll shoot at any time? You understand? Who wants to go play in a country like Cyprus? It's a small country, but there's no exposure. You understand? So you want to take these boys to countries that you know that, okay, other European teams or countries do go there and go scout. You understand? So that these boys can be able to be exposed to the finer football. What can I call it? To the finer football elite. You understand? Because I made an example of an Ajax Amsterdam. I like Ajax Amsterdam because it is a development based club. You understand? It is a development based team. If you check an Ajax Amsterdam team, you'll find that majority of the team, or 90% of the team, is under 25 years. You understand? So you don't want to take these boys to countries where I'm still not happy with the move of Lula, and I really feel that the agent has let this boy down. Yes, I hear ASAP saying we shouldn't give up. It's not us giving up, it's us wanting this boy to play. You understand? Because we know what this boy can do. With more game time, he only improves. But him being on the bench, it's going to knock him. You understand? Because he's going to sit on the bench. Players like Insigne and the other one that you mentioned are going to play every week. And this is what the coach has said. You understand? So I feel like our agents are not really putting much time in researching that who's at that club. What is the ambition of this club? Where does this club see themselves in a few years' time? You understand? So that the player that I bring to this club, does he have a future? Because if you remember, I said to you that if you check the American League, it's a league for old people. It's a retirement league. The one speaker also said here that league, there's no relegation. You understand? In a case of Njabulo Blom, I think it's luck because there is a South African coach there. You understand? And that coach surely did his research on Jabulo Blom first, and the agent did research on the club. But the agent was so confident that Blom is going to play because it's a South African coach that's there. You understand? I just think that our agents are not doing enough research for our, especially our young players. You understand? Especially our young players, because this is the future of the country. For an example, Lula hasn't gone. He's young. He was supposed to be in the AFCON team. He was supposed to be in our representing us in our AFCON team, but he couldn't because he's not playing. Which coach will choose a player that's not playing? I heard people having a problem about Mahopa, but Mahopa proved us all wrong. You understand? So our coaches, our agents, they need to do research so that these boys can blossom and improve.
Let me bring in agent. Agent, I don't know if you want to disassociate yourself from your name right now. I don't know here on TikTok because I'm asking about this thing. How much responsibility do agents and managers hold in these conversations and with these moves? Should we expect more from them?
I think before we go to the agent, we need to look at the head. SAFA mainly in PSL. I still find it weird that they're separate bodies. Right? They're supposed to be one thing. I feel that the rest of them is one thing, but I have to mention both of them at the same time. But anyways, what does it take for you to be an agent? I don't know if you recall we have had this conversation, you know, some time back, you know, and this is precisely why we need to have guidelines, not guidelines per se, but you can't, can I put this? As a lawyer, right, you understand rules in general, the constitution, the everything, it's okay, you understand it. Given, right? I'm sure if you're given the referee's manual, you can understand it in a day.
Yeah.
You know? But that does give you the right to be a referee. You know? I think this is where we have a problem, especially in Africa. I think in Europe, UEFA, they have been trying to put in certificate courses and stuff like that, you know, to try to monitor them so that the people, it's not enough to know how to negotiate a contract. It doesn't end there, you know. Like we're saying, there has to be research, there has to be all those kind of things, you know. But the problem is, everyone can become an agent, you know. Lawyers most of the time because they understand law, you know. But is that enough? I don't think that's enough, you know. Ex-players, you know, yeah, you know the ins and out of football, but can you sit next to the chairman of Orlando Pirates? People should never forget that we have that kind of let me not go there, but the chairman of Pirates and the league, you know, can you sit next to him and negotiate with him face to face, you know? Or are you still going to regard him as chairman, you know? So I feel like I have a problem with the fact that as CAF, as SAFA, as PSL, we don't have a courses akin to like coaching courses, you know. It shouldn't just be a certificate where like you are trying to do this 8 weeks and you become an agent, you know. It should be a progressive thing, you know. Like there is C, and if you are coach agent what C, then you can only get this kind of players or kind of player profiles to represent, you know. Same as you go through development. Not everyone can develop. You might have coach A, but that doesn't mean you can coach the development side, you know. You need a development coach, a badge, you know. So similarly, you can't ask someone who is representing a Benny McCarthy to represent a Mailula. They have two different needs, you know. So I think for me, that is something that you need to look at and improve it. I think that's something that I can say. And oh, by the way, not that I'm defending him, but the coach that brought in Omailula was fired, and the new one doesn't seem keen. You know, sometimes it's bad luck.
Same as Percy. Percy's situation was like that as well at Brighton.
Exactly. You know, so sometimes this kind of things, it's not that maybe research wasn't done. Maybe you spoke to the coach who's like, no, I'll guarantee you X minutes, you know, and then the coach gets fired and he brings his own players. So, and sometimes that's bad luck. That's how life works. So, yeah.
But also, this team was at the bottom of the log 2 times, but it's fine. Let me go to Caesar. Caesar, agents and managers, what role do they play in this? How much responsibility must we give them with these moves of our players? Just see if I can't help you unmute there.
I can say
there we go.
We can partly blame the agent, but I'm saying not fully.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. The role of an agent is to make money. Rest assured is to make money for both a player and him. I would understand if the agent hasn't taken anyone overseas and he succeeded. Yeah, but Uguti, he's just a bad agent. But if he has taken some players and they succeeded overseas, why not Malula? Why not him? That's the first question, because we must ask ourselves, Uguti, if someone goes overseas and succeed, what stops me to succeed overseas? It comes back to tough it up as a player. Two, the coaches. Njengoba nisho nithi ucoach wayemlandile, he got fired and all those things. The coaches play a big role in the development of a player. So if a coach doesn't like you, there is nothing also you can do.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with an agent.
Yeah.
Also, when the player gets a chance, I've seen players in Soweto getting a chance coming from ADC. They get a chance, and a player doesn't take that chance seriously. When you are there and you are given a chance, I'll make an example. With Kaizer Chiefs, there is a player who is Motaung, that guy. When that guy is given a chance, you see that he wants to win. He's not a best player ever, but when he's in the ground, you see that guy wants to win. Even though he Chiefs is better around him, but he push. You must be like that player. You must push.
For example.
Yes. When you come in, show that you can play. And also, there are coaches who've got favorite. Like our coach, I love his coach. I love this coach. Coach is South African team, but he's got his favorite. Players who are not playing in their team, but he still called them because they produce for him. They are there. When they get into a ground, they are willing to die, because you must win the dressing room as a coach. Also, as a player, you must go there and play. Please, guys, ask about hype our players first. We mustn't hype these players. When they play 2 or 3 games and they become good, and we hype them as the best player. Like Obo Vilakazi. I hating and the he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything other than lama trick wenzayo kuqe ebholeni. He hasn't shown ukuthi he can play. Don't hype the players and then sibanikeze ama agent and say they must sell them overseas if they haven't done anything in South Africa.
Yeah.
Please, let's give these players a chance to develop. Don't hype them. We hype these players. I don't know whether we are hungry for a successful player who's gonna play. I don't know what's going on. But we need to give these players time. And when they go overseas, a class of 1996 that won the Ilokuze, but they went overseas and they were older. They were taken by abo Lucas Hadebe bahamba sebebadala. Obtelezi bahamba. So many players bahamba sebebadala. These guys are young, and they can learn there. They can develop. Let's not blame. Let's not put a blame to or Rob Moore, no Ban. We've got few for ama agent like South Africa. Some of these agents are used by ama players which are in Africa. They come here and be contracted with the agents from here in South Africa. That means they are good agents in South Africa. We mustn't blame them. So please, guys. As tough it up, labafana, singabancengi sibatshela ukuthi tough it up as a man. Go there and work for yourself.
Okay, no. Precisa, thank you. Let me go to ASAP Sheme. how much responsibility should these agents and managers take? And not just in the sense of going overseas just for that, but just in general with these players' futures and careers. Where do we apportion the blame? I don't want to say the blame, but the responsibility.
Yeah, I think with agents, it's tricky. Agents and managers across all fields of employment. So not just restricting it to Ebola, entertainment in general, Espaneni, agent la tholela abantu ipani. It's tricky in general, right? Because there's a conflict of interest where it's the agent wants to ensure that uyakhona ukuziphilisa naye ngenyuku, but at the same time they also have to ensure that they're looking out for the player's best interests. And that takes a lot of human development to get to that place where you have to be egoless. You have like basically babysit omunye umuntu ba umzali and ukudinga isineke esiningi right. So it's tricky to find the agent enama best interest wakho yabo, because now at the same time amachita athola ama-agent la ba-desperate khona, they're trying to get into Ebola, so i-leverage yokunegotiate izinto ezikhona ku-paperwork awunayo. I-agent izwakala ne-experience eminingi, yakhona ukukushaya kwezinye izinto, kushaya kuma-image rights, kushaya kuphi, kushaya kuphi nalaphi nalaphi, angithola. So izokushaya ngomqondo kwezinye izinto. So kukuwe mfethu as i-player nawe ube ne-support enough around wena where ukwazi ukuseeka out i-agent obona ngathi in-line nama-vision wakho long term. Phela ibhola noma ngasho ukuthi 5 years 8 years ngakho, but you still need to have a roadmap ukuthi ngifuna uqala la ngephi. So nalo muntu omdonsayo na ufana ukuthi udonsa umuntu aligna nalezo zinto lezo. So leyo nto leyo futhi izodinga ukuthi ama-player wethu nabo abe ne-personal development la akwazi ukuvision i-life yabo 8 years down. Yangithola, hayi ukuthi ngidlala ibhola for the day, kusasa ngizobona ukuthi kwenzakalani. We need to have players that have that long-term vision of okay, this is what I want out of football going in. Sure, ufuna ukuphuma kwenhlupheko ntanga, but mose uphumile enhluphekweni ke yini echubekayo after that. So now ufana usondeze nabantu ke abazo-aligna nalo vision leyo mfethu, yangithola, because kune-agent ozoshaya quick money ayinandaba ukuthi kuphelile ngawe kwenzakalani yabo la ezokisa khona, bese kune-agent ezoshaya nge-long term vision, because understand ukuthi mina ngihola le outlay nami izoba ne-career end. That's where my life investment comes from, ukuthi if the player that I'm managing is doing well for isikhathi eside, nami ngibuild i-repertoire yami njengonkosikazi kaPitso kanje. Unkosikazi kaPitso mfethu umanage i-husband yakhe and they're building something is sustainable. It's not a quick money thing. There's a reason why Pitso's in those countries. There's a reason, you know what I'm saying? It's not just that's where they called us. They understand, the Arabs are putting a lot of money in football. There's a lot of eyes there. Same thing with the Malula thing. Malula could have said, there's a World Cup coming to USA, chance. Maybe if we go there, there'll be more eyes on us, you know what I mean? So, always, we'll go back to ngiyayibonga ukuthi asikisi ukuba umuntu onjalo, but ngiyabonga ukuthi Sundowns i-player profile yayo ithola ama-player wabantu abashadile abakuma-serious relationship, because udinga abantu abakwazi ukucabanga on and off the pitch. So we need to enable lama-skills lawo kuma-player wethu khona azoyenza ama-decision azobasipanela, because mina as i-agent mfethu mina azokushaya kawo, azokushaya. Ngiyabonga mfethu.
Wait to end it, guys, I'm looking at the time. I'm gonna have to close the show. I think, from my point of view, hey guys, there's a lot of things I struggle with South African football, and I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot of things that I wish could be done a lot better, and you start questioning the people that are there. My biggest question that comes to agents and managers is not necessarily the first move. Because the first move is usually the easy one. The money is coming, people are interested, all of that stuff is happening. But the bigger question, and maybe we'll make it for another day, but the bigger question then becomes, once I've made that move and something happens, a lot of them come straight back to South Africa. It feels like it's an easy pack, similar to the conversation we're having in the first round, that it feels like, the agents go, hey, okay, Europe, I don't have the contacts, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the know-how. You know what? I'm going to call Bobby Mtaug and say, listen, my player's coming back to South Africa. It's those type of things. And when you watch other sports, when you hear people I think my problem comes because when you watch other sports and you watch other elite sports and things like that, and you hear agents talk and players talk and owners talk and coaches talk, as a man, there's that thing where they show you good to know. This is a full-time job for me. This is something I'm taking seriously. And whatever I'm doing, I'm building a team. I'm not going to just sign random people to come into my team. I've got a client who's making a move. I'm not going to just take him to some random team. We're going to sit down and do this. We're going to have that. It's similar to when you look at agents in the PSL. All of the PSL players have agents. They've had fights with teams, and a lot of the South African ones, when it comes to contracts, Gunzima. Now Ngunekovic, his agent came and he was like, Maraka, legally this thing doesn't make sense. We've got this type of recourse. Tiki now Royal AM is put into a tough position. How many of the South African guys have probably had the same issue, but then they don't have the know-how to go for it? Or maybe the relationship of the agent with the club is more important. We had a similar conversation. But these are the things that the questions that we need to ask when we look at these things, because it's very easy to just say a player went overseas and flopped. He went to Serbia and it didn't work out. But we're not asking the questions about what is the club structure like there? What is the plan? What are the negotiations? What other offers did Cassius, for example, have on the table? Could those have been better? Could staying at Sundowns have been better for Cassius a little bit more? Maybe a year or two more? These are the questions that we need to start asking ourselves with our football so that we can get better answers to these things. I think it's too easy for us to just say, you know, Cassius Malula, uflopile. He's just a bad player. There are things around there. There's a reason why Blom is playing. There's a reason why Ngezana is playing. There's a reason why others are not playing. And for me, it comes down to some of those decisions personally. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to the panels that jumped in and added your voice to the show. Thank you to the commenters. Thank you to the guys that gave me gifts there in the TikTok, on TikTok. Kolani, Malibongwe, Tandanani, Missy Malume Kuto. Thank you guys so much for the gifts on that side. Thank you to those who have watched on YouTube and on Facebook and on YouTube as well. It's going to be on Facebook too. But guys, if you want to watch any of the previous episodes back, we've had some incredible conversations, just like we did today. They are available in full on YouTube as well as my other content. If this is just not enough, and I know I want to hear from everybody here, the best way is to head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and then we've got an official WhatsApp group where these conversations go on for, it goes on sometimes for days. We go back and forth. We have really good points from really smart people. So if you want to join that official WhatsApp group, official WhatsApp community, YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join. I've got some TikToks out. I've got some long videos out. Guys, please support me as well as we make this content. All we're trying to do is to ask questions and to have better conversations about our local game. And really dig in deep and educate ourselves about what's happening in the background, in the foreground, and all of those things. This is why this platform is here, and this is why I hear from you. We're us fans. It's not an analyst. It's not a former player. It's not some people it's somebody who you can speak to on a daily basis. The show is on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. Fridays at 12:30 is my members show. The guys I spoke about from the WhatsApp group, we have, they run the show, they choose the topic, we speak about what they want to speak about on Fridays at 12:30. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you guys then, probably on Monday. I'm not in this weekend. So tomorrow, 12:30, and then Monday. Bye, guys.